Hello everyone and welcome to a new idea I've had for a video series. Basically, I want to get better at redstone, just in general, so building redstone contraptions, learning how it all works, and that general kind of thing. And I know that I can't be the only one that wants to learn this, so I figured the best thing to do would be to kind of record myself learning all these things, and then hopefully it helps others as well. So, with that said, welcome to the first episode of Learning Redstone. We're going to begin with a 2x2 piston door. Now, the reason why we're starting with a 2x2 piston door is because it is honestly one of the simpler things you can make with redstone that's also extremely functional. As in, you can use it in a base pretty much immediately. Thinking about it, it's not a theoretical thing where you build it just to learn how redstone works and then you just kind of, knock it down, delete it, whatever. No, you can actually use this straight away in a build if you want to. So we are going to need redstone dust, redstone torch, sticky piston, not a regular piston. In fact, I'll quickly show you why. Redstone repeater and maybe a redstone comparator, depending on how we want to do things. So I'm going to quickly show you why you want a sticky piston instead of a regular piston. So let's pretend for a second that this is one side of our door. This is our door here. Alright, now, you want your door to close when you're not there, which makes absolute sense. So let's go ahead and close both these doors. Okay, so this door is now closed. No one can get into your base. You also can't get out, no mobs can follow you, etc, etc. Now, you want to leave your base to go out into the world, to do some exploring, general adventure and that kind of thing. So, you want to open your door. So let's come over here and open this door. Okay, problem. With the regular piston, the block's still in place. The door remains closed. You can't get out. Good job, piston. Whereas with the sticky piston, if you close the door, the block gets pulled back. Door is closed. Door is open, and you can leave to go out into the world and do whatever it is you were planning on doing. So that's why we are going to be using sticky pistons for this. Regular pistons have their place, but when it comes to making piston doors, sticky pistons are essentially what you will be using a good chunk of the time. So, here we have a very simple setup for a 2x2 piston door. We have the pressure plate here, which is going to be used to open the door itself when you step on it. We have the blocks that will be used as the door when they're in place, and then the two pistons on either side, which will open and close the door as required. So let's go ahead and link up this pressure plate to one of the pistons and see what happens. Okay, that works, but the door would be in a closed position at this stage. We don't want that. We want this plate to open it. So this means that we need to have a system in place where the piston is always activated, which is what we've just done. We put a redstone torch down, linked that to the existing redstone on the floor, and the piston is now activated and the door is now shut. Perfect. So let's step on this plate now, and the door is still closed. Right. How do we fix this? Well, there are two ways we can do this. The first way is with a comparator. Now, a comparator has two modes. In fact, I'm going to quickly go over here thinking about this and just put down a very, very crude display method here. So here we have a very, very quickly put together comparator tutorial. Now, the comparator has two modes. We have comparative mode and we have subtraction mode. At the moment with that light off, it's in comparative mode, and what this does is it compares the signal strength coming in from the back over here to the signal strength coming in from the side here. If the signal on the side is stronger than the signal coming from the back, the signal completely shuts down. As you can see, currently it's active because all these lights are on here and you can see the particle effects there. But if I was to just get rid of that quickly, move the redstone torch back over here, and link this up, and then what would happen if I put this back on is because this source is closer than this one, this signal then becomes stronger. So if I complete the circuit, it shuts down and all the redstone torches, the redstone lamps, turn off. So that's comparative mode. In subtraction mode, it's kind of similar, but it works in a different way. Instead of comparing one signal to the other, it instead takes this signal strength away from this one. So what this means is if I were to move this back to here, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's make one more there. If I then do that, this redstone torch will be further away than this one. But because we're in subtraction mode, it behaves differently. It instead takes this number away from that number, and then whatever is remaining gets sent out as a signal. In this case, there is one signal strength left, so it's only enough to power one block. That's how a comparator works. So, that's how a comparator works. In this instance, it's in comparative mode, and because this will act as a source block once I stand on it, and because it's closer than the redstone torch is, that shuts off, and the piston deactivates and the door opens. Perfect. That works exactly as we want. However, there is a second way that you can do this. And that way, oddly, is by just using a block with a redstone torch on it, facing the way that you want the signal to go. Now what happens here is if you send a redstone signal into a block that has a redstone torch on it, the torch turns off. And then as soon as you step off, it turns back on again. So this works perfectly for this case. And in fact, this is the system we're going to use when we actually come to building the proper door mechanism in full. At the moment, I'm just kind of laying this out in a way so it's easy to understand. Like, again, understanding how things work is just as important as knowing how to place the blocks, you know, because then you can use this same trick for other things. You know, you can use this same trick for other ideas you might have for redstone contraptions. So, because this is easier, it requires less redstone, which means it requires less space to build. We're going to be using this method of opening and closing a door, rather than the comparator. Although the comparator works, you need more redstone to make it work, and so this is much easier. So, now we have our system decided on how to open and close the doors. But this only works for the bottom piston. How do we power the top piston as well? Well, luckily that's also very simple. All you have to do is build like this, and then you have the signal coming over here, and go up one block. Now, you might think that you have to come up here, but that's not always the case. Because what's happening here is this block is powering both these blocks. Because this redstone is coming over this way, it's powering both of these blocks. And because the piston only needs the block it's adjacent to be powered, that's enough. So now if we step on this plate, we should have both working. And that is amazing. It means that all we need to do is to come over here and repeat this for this side. And there we go. We have a functioning 2x2 piston door. And I think, honestly, it's laid out in as simple a way as can be explained. I mean, this makes sense. You've got redstone torches powering a redstone line, which are also powering the pistons. But then standing on this plate deactivates both those torches, which in turn deactivates both pistons, causing them to retract, which opens the door. Nice and simple. And now that we know the basics, now we know how it works, we can get to building the door properly. So, building the actual door is going to require us digging down into the dirt at least a little bit. So let's go down 1 block to start with, and then these bits in the middle have 1 block down next to the pistons, and then everything else can be 2 blocks down. Okay? Let's start there, and then we can work through it step by step and see how it goes. Now we're going to be building this initially on the inside of the base. Okay, the outside is going to be over here, so let's just go ahead and build this as if we were building it into a cliffside. Okay, so this is the outside. We're not building the redstone component on the outside. Instead, we're building it on the inside. And there's a reason for that. It's because once you're inside, it doesn't matter as much about redstone showing, although there are ways to hide it, obviously. But this is the simplest way of doing this. So what you need to do is have this set up like this. Have 1 block in front of the pistons on the bottom. Dig 1 block down underneath those, and then 2 blocks down under here. Okay, that's important. At this point, you put a redstone torch under each of these blocks. Now this powers this block, which in turn deactivates, or rather activates the pistons which close the door. Now from here, we need to get the top pistons powered as well, which we can easily do by just putting redstone on the top of this now powered block, because that feeds into these pistons, and that's it. Job done. Perfect. But how do we rig this up from here so that the pistons deactivate? Well, we have redstone going from one side to the other. Let's dig this out a little bit so you can see exactly what's going on. Then we put a block here. We've dug 2 down, so there's a gap underneath. Okay. We move the redstone under here as well. Come back up. And we put a pressure plate here. And now what's going to happen is we're going to step on the pressure plates, and because of redstone rules, at least in Java Edition, this will trigger this redstone down here, which in turn will depower both torches, and the door opens. Step off, and the door closes again. Open, closed. Open, closed. And that is how you make a 2x2 piston door open and close with redstone. But you're going to be saying, but that's from the inside. And it works, fair enough, but how do I open this from the outside? How am I going to activate this? How am I going to get into my base if I can't actually get into my base? Well, that's a damn good question. How do we do this? Well, simple. Dig down 2 blocks. Okay, in fact, let's dig out everything that's underneath the door. So here's the door here. And then all you need to do is just trail this redstone over here. And then we'll do the exact same thing. Put 2 blocks over the top. And remember, this is a 2 block deep hole. So we've got redstone underneath this block. 2 pressure plates on top. We can just go ahead, fill that in. And then by stepping on these blocks, it activates the redstone underneath, which is linked, don't forget, to the redstone torches on this side, because it's all connected. And so if we step on these plates, it opens. And you now have a 2x2 piston door that you can open from both sides. And there we go. As you can see, a 2x2 piston door is extremely easy to put together with very minimal redstone when you think about it. I mean, there was what? There was 2 redstone torches, maybe a dozen bits of redstone dust, and then the 4 pistons, the 4 sticky pistons. And that was it. That's all you need for that. And you can build this in about 5 minutes. Easy. 5 minutes, maybe even less once you've had a bit of practice with it. But like I said, nice and simple, 2x2 piston door. Honestly, doesn't get much simpler than that. Next time around, in the next video, we're probably going to be looking at a 2x2 flush piston door. Or at least a semi-flush piston door. There's like semi-flush and then there's true flush. There's 2 kinds, but the true flush is like the next level above that. So we're going to go up 1 step at a time. So in the next one, we're going to do a 2x2 semi-flush piston door. But until then, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been educational. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.